Medibank will go offline this weekend so it can complete a security overhaul in the wake of the suspected Russian cyber attack. Let's go live to Trudy McIntosh. Trudy, what does this mean for customers?
Well, Kieran, millions of Medibank customers will not be able to access services over this weekend as Australia's largest health insurer attempts to bolster its protections in the wake of this massive breach that we saw just a few months back. They've confirmed that from 8:30 p.m. this Friday, they will be shutting their shop fronts, but also the online call centre, so they can try and go through these security protections and make sure that their business is now up to scratch when it comes to cyber protections. In a statement, the company has apologised for the inconvenience that this operation may cause customers, but they go on to say that it's the next necessary phase of our ongoing work to further safeguard our network. The Home Affairs Minister Claire O'Neil zeroing in on the need to protect Australian customers' data during her address to the National Press Club today, talking up the need to bolster cybersecurity inside businesses, inside government. But she also interestingly said that Australia has won and stood up to these hackers with the refusal to pay the massive ransom payment that was being demanded by alleged Russian hackers. But cold comfort, you'd imagine, for millions and millions of customers who had their personal and confidential medical information dumped onto the dark web.
I didn't see anyone seriously argue that Medibank should have paid the ransom and then we could have all gone off and into our fairyland thinking that that would solve the problem. And from my perspective, we stood up to a bully and we won.
And Trudy, the Home Affairs Minister also at the Press Club provided an update on the repatriation of former IS brides, Trudy.
Kieran, Claire O'Neil today confirming that still no decision has been made by government as to whether we will see a second cohort of former ISIS brides and their children brought home to Australia, where they remain at the moment in the Syrian camps. We know that the first cohort arrived back in October. 13 women and 4 children were brought off. 4 women, I should say, and 13 children brought home. Claire O'Neil indicating today, though, that she believes there will, in fact, be further consultations if we were to see a second cohort, not confirming that that will happen at this stage for obvious reasons. But I put to her whether she'd learnt any lessons from the first cohort being brought home. There was a lot of concern in Western Sydney. The Mayor of Fairfield, for example, raised a concern that there wasn't enough consultation ahead of these people being brought back to Western Sydney. He said at the time he believed there had been a dumping ground for these Australians. I put it to Claire O'Neil, what lessons had she learned from that event?
So the question for us is the safest thing for these 13 children to grow up in a squalid camp where they are subjected to radical ideologies every single day and then return to Australia at some point when they're an adult? Or is it safer for us to bring them here so they can live a life around Australian values? The operation was very successful from my point of view. I went to Western Sydney and talked to community leaders. I fiercely believe, and I think every politician would agree, that when we do something that affects local communities, they are entitled to have us go to them and talk to them, and that is what I did.
So Claire O'Neil not walking away at all from the decision to bring these Australians home. She argues it's the right decision, and it seems to indicate from her answer there, Kieran, that if there is to be a second cohort, there would be consultations ahead of time.